In an interview with the BBC, a senior Hamas leader claimed that no civilians were killed in the October 7th massacre. Yes, you just heard that right. As the nation of Israel marks 1 month exactly since the horrific massacre by Hamas on October 7th, the IDF is continuing to operate in Gaza. Just this morning, they captured a massive Hamas stronghold and took out 10 terrorists in the process. Also, 4 Cowboys from Montana and Arkansas on their way over to serve the people of Israel became a viral sensation overnight. We're going to talk about that here on the show. Stay tuned. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. First off, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We just got to 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube just yesterday. So thank you all who have subscribed, who have made this possible, and who are continuing to watch us every single day. Huge shout out to all of you guys. If you haven't already, you can join our breaking news Telegram channel. You can click the link in the description below. Also, make sure to follow us on all of our other social media accounts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But speaking of social media, we're going to talk about a viral sensation on social media. And this is about Cowboys. Yes, Cowboys on their way to Israel. I'm sure you've seen posts online. Posts all over the place have gone viral about 4 Cowboys from Arkansas and Montana coming to Israel to help the Jewish farmers. Apparently, somebody took their picture in the JFK airport and they posted it on Facebook. That post was reposted all over the place, all over Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now it has millions of views all over on social media, all over the place. Just this one post right here has 1.8 million views as the time of recording the show. He said, American farmhands and cowboys on their way to Israel to help farmers in Israel after the Hamas attack. Many lost their lives and or farm workers. That's love. Thank you. That was just one caption. Also tons of really great comments. Somebody was like, makes me so happy. Thank you. Somebody said, God bless them. Somebody else said, one of the most beautiful things I've seen since October 7th. Thank you all for making the trip. Somebody else said, way to go, farmers. Thankful for helping Israel. Those who care for and pray for the peace of Jerusalem will be blessed. So, these 4 guys, who are these 4 Cowboys coming to Israel? Well, they were on their way to Israel, to us here at Hayovel, to help out with Operation Itai. Our Operation Itai of Christian Zionists airlifting emergency supplies to the local farms here in Judea and Samaria who need equipment, desperately need to protect them. That is our operation. And these 4 Cowboys that have gone absolutely viral online were on their way to Israel, and now they are here with us, already hard at work. They'll be doing lots of different things while they're here in Israel, be doing guard watches on farms, also doing a lot of construction, just really helping out wherever they can, and ultimately sending a message to the Jewish people saying, we support you, we are standing with you, the Jewish people, while you're going through this really horrible, hard time. Guys, if you want to do something to support Israel, if you want to support these Cowboys who are here in Israel, being the boots on the ground, you can go to OperationEtai.com. We're trying to raise $29 million to equip the small farms and communities here in Judea and Samaria with desperately needed equipment. So, if you want to help us out, you can go to OperationEtai.com to keep us going. So today is November 7th, marks 1 month exactly since the horrific massacre which took place on October 7th. Thousands of families' lives are forever changed. Today is a day of mourning. A moment of silence was held this morning at 11 a.m. Memorial ceremonies are being held in schools and universities all throughout the day, different parts of the day. Today, also later this afternoon, people are supposed to gather in town squares and other central areas to light candles in memory of the fallen soldiers and also the murdered civilians, the men, women, and children who were murdered on October 7th. Also, nearly 250 hostages are still in the hands of the evil, horrible terrorist organization Hamas. Continue to pray that they will be released soon. The IDF said this on Twitter. They said, quote, "It's been a month since the October 7th massacre. While the world may have moved on, we don't have that privilege. Hamas started this war. Yeah, it's a war we must win. A war we must win." The IDF is still operating in Gaza while they're not doing they're not saying it's a full-scale ground invasion. That's sort of the terminology. They're not using that terminology. But there are a lot of troops currently down in Gaza, very active, been doing a lot of different operations and raids in Gaza. Just this morning, the IDF captured a Hamas stronghold. This is from Arutz Sheva. They said, in coordination with soldiers on the ground, an IDF fighter jet struck a cell of approximately 10 terrorists. Following this, IDF ground troops identified an anti-tank missile cell operating in their vicinity. The troops directed an IDF aircraft that struck the terrorist cell. Chief of Staff of the IDF, Herzi Halevi, said, quote, "This connection of air and land together, we always knew it was strong. We see now that it is much stronger than we knew." So they struck a huge terrorist stronghold, Hamas stronghold down there. Last night, it was also reported that they had captured 2 members of Hamas's Nukba commando force who were actually actively involved in the massacre on October 7th, and they fled back to Gaza after that. The individuals are now in custody in Israel, where they will face judicial proceedings in due course. During all this time, the IDF has still been warning Gazan civilians to flee south, and they opened an evacuation corridor. As you can see in this video right here, thousands of Palestinians are fleeing along through this evacuation corridor right there. So that's sort of the update from here on the ground in Israel of what is happening down in Gaza. Let me tell you about the Israel Bible Book of Psalms, Pray Like David edition. This unique book of Psalms is in both Hebrew and English with a verse-by-verse English transliteration. That's more than 30,000 Hebrew words made accessible to you, allowing you to read, pronounce, and understand every Hebrew word of Psalms. Reading Psalms brings comfort and strength to the heart and soul, and now you can read them in King David's original words in Hebrew. For a limited time, our friends at Israel 365 are extending an exclusive discount to viewers of The Israel Guys. Just use the code TheIsraelGuys at checkout, and you can get the Israel Bible Book of Psalms for only $24.99, nearly 40% off the retail price of $39.99. Dive into the Psalms, walk in the footsteps of King David, and pray with renewed passion and understanding. With the Israel Bible Book of Psalms, Pray Like David edition, you'll pray like you have never prayed before. Click the link in the description below to buy the Israel Bible Book of Psalms today. So a massive rocket barrage from Lebanon was reported yesterday. The military confirmed that in the span of 1 hour, some 30 rockets were fired from Lebanon at northern Israel. The IDF said approximately 30 launches were identified from Lebanon towards northern Israel over the last hour. The IDF is responding with artillery fire towards the origin of the launches. Israel responded. They responded with artillery shelling, as the IDF said, and then they did airstrikes later, launching at positions and weapons depots. There are numerous terrorist groups operating on the northern border. It's not just Hezbollah. Actually, Hamas took responsibility for this specific rocket barrage yesterday. So it wasn't Hezbollah, as far as we know, although they're very connected, all working together on the Lebanese border. But it's not just Hezbollah working up there. It's also Hamas and several other terrorist organizations. Thankfully, no damage was reported. What's crazy is people up north that of the 20,000 residents of Kiryat Shmona, which is the northernmost city here in Israel, 17,000 of the 20,000 residents have had to evacuate in the past weeks. So that's just a little bit of the reality of what the people are going through up there on the northern border. Guys, in some very disturbing news, a Jewish man was confirmed dead after he was hit in the head during a during two demonstrations that were happening at the same time, a pro-Israel and a pro-Palestine demonstration that were happening side by side at the Los Angeles area. And apparently a Jewish man was hit over the head by a pro-Palestine protester with a megaphone, and later he died. Police have opened a homicide investigation after 69-year-old Paul Kessler died from a head injury following this confrontation. People are saying, it wasn't 100% confirmed, but people were saying that he was hit in the head by a megaphone, and then he later died from brain damage from internal bleeding. Very, very sad. Here, unfortunately, this is not the only incident. There's been a huge increase in anti-Semitism, ironically, since the October 7th massacre. You'd think that the world would be more supportive of Israel, more loving towards the Jewish people, but unfortunately, there's been a huge uptick in anti-Semitism. Just a couple of other incidents. Jewish leader in Detroit, Samantha Wohl, was murdered at her home just a week ago. Jewish students at a New York college took shelter in their college library after anti-Israel protests became violent. Another Jewish student was hit in the face with a megaphone. Another person getting hit in the face with a megaphone. Protests around the world, they are frequently chanting things like, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And they're also calling for resistance against Israel by any means necessary. And by any means necessary, they're meaning by raping women, by killing babies, by killing children, by taking anyone hostage, because that is exactly what Hamas did. And all these pro-Palestine people, they are essentially supporting Hamas too. Don't get that wrong. Also, Palestine being free, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is what they're chanting. Palestine being free is meaning free of Jews. Yes, every single one of the Jews pushed into the sea or killed. That is literally what they are chanting for. Guys, and probably one of the most bizarre things, this is probably one of the most bizarre things you will ever hear. But on an interview with the BBC, the world's most trusted news source, by the way, a senior Hamas leader claimed that no civilians were killed in the October 7th massacre. Yes, that he really, really said that. He said no civilians were killed in the October 7th massacre. First off, why is the BBC interviewing a Hamas leader? Like, what were they thinking? Who thought that was a good idea to interview a leader of a terrorist organization who murdered 1,400 innocent Jewish Israelis, took 250 hostages, who did the worst things, the worst imaginable evil that you could ever think of? Who thought that was a good idea to interview one of their senior leaders? Moussa Abu Marzouk is his name, the senior Hamas leader. He said the October 7th attack focused on conscripts and that women, children, and civilians were exempt from Hamas attacks. He claimed that Hamas leader Mohammed Deif, quote, clearly told his fighters, don't kill a woman, don't kill a child, and don't kill an old man. He said IDF reservists were targeted. He said, adding that only conscripts and soldiers were killed. The BBC interviewer, he challenged Abu Marzouk's claim. He asked about the footage from Hamas terrorist helmet cameras, which actually showed, yes, Hamas published it to the world. They're not trying to hide their atrocities. They published to the world civilians getting shot. They published them doing these horrific, unimaginable evils. When the BBC interviewer confronted Abu Marzouk about this footage, about this incriminating evidence, the Hamas leader avoided answering the question.
It's no confrontation. You invaded houses.
I don't have details what happened inside, but I can tell you that we didn't have any intention or decision to kill the civilians.
How do you justify killing people as they sleep? You know, families. How do you justify killing hundreds of people?
I want to stop this interview. I want to stop this interview.
He also insisted that Hamas cannot free the hostages until, quote, the Israelis stop the fighting so we can hand them, the hostages, over to the Red Cross. He said, quote, we will release them, but we need to stop the fighting. He insisted, claiming that Hamas looked for and found 2 female hostages from Russia, but were not able to release them due to the hostilities. What a bunch of baloney. Guys, I've said this multiple times here on the show, but yes, don't be surprised. Baby murderers are also liars. They are flat out liars. We shouldn't be surprised that they also can flat out lie. Unfortunately, the world would just love to believe this Hamas leader. They would love to draw equivalence here. They would love to make moral equivalence between the Hamas organization and Israel retaliating. There's a, oh, if only Israel would just stop striking Gaza, then the hostages would be released. No, absolutely not. Hamas can release the hostages if they want, and no, by them just releasing a couple hostages like they did a few weeks ago, that does not make them any better than they were before. They are still a horrific, horrible, brutal terrorist organization that needs to be wiped off the face of the map. They need to be 100% obliterated. Guys, in conclusion, pray for the nation of Israel. Israel is in a fight for her survival right now, so pray for the nation of Israel. That is one of the most important things you can do, but also stand with the people of Israel. You can, if you want to help us out, we're trying to raise $29 million for these small farms and communities of Judea and Samaria who need equipment to defend themselves. You can go to OperationEtai.com or click the link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, get the conversation going down below. And as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.